I'm a local attorney. I have a small law firm downtown, Bogart and Reese. I'm Reese. That's Bogart over there behind the camera. She's also my campaign manager, trusted advisor, best friend. I live in Gahanna. Have a family out there. My wife is there with my 5-year-old son right now. We have another little guy on the way soon. So we'll be a growing family this spring. It's very exciting. In terms of who I am, I have a big secret about presenting to you, Worthington Democrats, that I was a Republican. I was not just a Republican. I was a conservative. I was the new generation conservative. I was raised in Detroit in the late 80s in a family that was so Republican that my mom ran for the 16th precinct in Detroit as a black female in 1986. I learned a lot about cleaning eggs off of windows. I didn't go to public school. I went to private school because the chances of my survival in Detroit public in the late 80s were very slim. Because of the way that I speak, because of the way that I think, because I valued getting on the honor roll, getting good grades. It was a dangerous situation for me. I had a single mom, put myself and my sister through Kensington Academy in Bloomfield Hills in private school, and reinforced the Republican agenda in me. I went to Hillsdale College, which, for you staunch Democrats know, is a big deal. I went to Hillsdale College and learned political economy from one of the most conservative political economy professors in the nation, Gary Wolfram. He was so laissez-faire economics, he taught me that if you wanted people to drive more safely, instead of putting airbags and seatbelts in cars, you should put a big spike in the steering wheel. That's how we learned about it. That's how we learned about incentive in economics at Hillsdale. I was in the WHIP program under Mickey Craig. I went to Washington, D.C., served under Senator Spencer Abraham in the Senate Subcommittee on Immigration and Judiciary Committee. I came to Columbus to go to Capital Law School because I worked my way through Hillsdale, and I had to work when I was going to law school. So I worked my way through law school. It took me 4 years to get through because I couldn't take a full-time caseload or full-time class load. If you take a full-time class load, you can't work enough to eat. So I put myself through law school. I got out, and let me tell you, the economy hit lawyers way before the rest of the economy went down. With 7 law schools in Ohio pumping out 1,500 new lawyers a year, it was very difficult to find a job. The best job that I could find at the time, any of you seen the movie Mothman Prophecies, was working at a power plant just outside of Mothman, West Virginia, going through 40-year-old files looking for the word asbestos. That's the best job a young attorney could find. And at that point I said, I'm going to go out, I'm going to start my own business, I'm going to rise or fall on my own, I'll figure it out. So I started my little law firm. I was on my own for a few years, then Dream and I teamed up. Those are my ties to Columbus. I live in Gahanna, like I said. The reason I'm running for Congress right now, and the reason that I'm not a Republican anymore, is because when the economy tanked in 2008, I was enlightened. When the economy tanked, I learned a big lesson about all the political economy that I was taught at Hillsdale, and all the laissez-faire economics, and all the government needs to stay out of the way of business so that they can hire and fire and innovate and create jobs and all the wonderful capitalist things that we were taught. And I am a capitalist. I believe in profit. Profit's a good thing. Profit drives us. Profit does create innovation. But all of that about government staying out the way flew magically out the window when the big banks were in trouble, when the rich guys were facing the tough decisions. Now, if the government was going to get involved, based off of what I was taught, government was going to get involved at the middle level to prop up those institutions who had made good decisions, who had made good investments, so that they could absorb the impact in the economy. Is that what happened? No. Anybody? No. Not even close. Not even close. Not only did they open up the doors to the Treasury, to the biggest banks who had made the worst decisions to take as much money as they wanted at 0% interest with no reporting requirements, but they also beefed up bank inspectors so they could come and shut down the neighborhood banks that they deemed undercapitalized. And if you want to know what's wrong with the economy right now, that's what it is. The reason we can't get our economy on track is because they took all the money that they could get out of the Treasury. They paid themselves bonuses with probably half of it, with about half of it, based on my research. And with the other half, they bought Treasury bonds. So they bought bonds that we, American taxpayers, are paying interest to the banks on the money that we loaned them, supposedly to keep credit flowing to small business. So what am I about? Why am I running for Congress? Because I've been around the track with these guys. I've seen the way they work from the inside, and what I want to do is go to Washington, D.C., pass a law that everybody's got to vote for. You've got to vote for this. It doesn't matter where you're from Texas, you have to vote for this because you cannot come out and say that it's in the best interest of the Americans in your district that we continue to pay interest to these banks on Treasury bonds and the money that we loan them. Free up that money, pump that $350 billion into the American economy for every small business that has a decent credit score and is going to hire Americans on Main Street. That's what I want to do. We got to where we are as America because we invented and made the best stuff. We hear talk about financial services economy. We hear talk from the Republicans that American manufacturing is dead. That is a lie. That is a lie. It may not be Pennsylvania steel anymore, but we can make solar cells. We can make cell phones. We can make lithium batteries. We can make things here because we invented them here. And that's what we need to do. We're not going to be number one in the world, and we're not going to stay number one in the world by shuffling around other people's money. We can't follow the Switzerland model. That's not what we do. We don't charge each other higher interest rates and then take investments from overseas and then flip it around, change the currency back and forth, and all end up richer. That doesn't work. It never worked for us. America became number one because we invented computers that were the best. We invented car technology and automobiles that were the envy of the world. Everybody wanted a Cadillac. Everybody in the world wanted a Cadillac. It was the standard of the world. And we can get back there if we invest in ourselves. We can get back there if we invest in ourselves. The idea, I know we hear public-private partnership a lot, right? The idea that public-private partnership was intended for casinos and tracks and local venues, that's not where it came from. Public-private partnership came from researching plastics. Public-private partnership came from researching stealth technology. Public-private partnership came from Velcro when we needed to go to space and zippers weren't going to cut it. When we needed to go to the moon. That's where public-private partnership came in. And that's where we need to go back to. The government who's been cutting funds for investing in local businesses, local inventors, American inventors. We need to get back to that. We need to get back to government investment, not just in oil exploration. We shouldn't be subsidizing oil exploration. We should be subsidizing the next thing that's going to make America number one. And the next thing that's going to be made here. American standards to quality. So I'll take any questions that you have. My plan is economic, it's small business, it's local. My platform is to put America back to work by doing what we do. By making things, by investing in ourselves, and by working hard to make it number one in the world.
Once again, what's your name and what are you running for?
Jim Reese. If I didn't say that before, I'm Jim Reese. I'm running against Pat Teaberry.